All right, welcome to another episode of Digital Dexterity. I'm Wes McChristian, Kentico Practice Director here at Americaneagle.com. I'm glad to be joined today by some of our good friends from Kentico. Mark, would you mind introducing yourself for our listeners?
Yeah, hi, I'm Mark Fleischer. I'm the Director of Channel Growth here at Kentico. Been at Kentico for about 4 years. Started off as a Channel Growth Manager, now transitioned to running the team.
And Dan?
Yeah, I'm Dan Ardelan. I'm a Channel Growth Manager at Kentico. Been with them for, my gosh, we're approaching 2 years already.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, it's been great.
Great. Well, you know, guys, we have this vlog session just set up as a time to explore all things Kentico, and with you being here on site with us, thought it fitting to spend some time talking about the year in review, some of the predictions where we're seeing business trends heading in 2024. And then, of course, you also just had a wonderful in-person event in Nashville, the Connections event. So, I'd love, Mark, if you could just give us maybe a quick oral history of Kentico, your philosophy on community, and what we saw in that event out of Nashville.
Yeah, so Kentico Connection as a whole is the event. It actually definitely predates my time here at Kentico. It's our annual conference that we've been putting on for a number of years. Really, the whole idea is to bring together all kind of facets of the Kentico community, partners, some customers, and obviously, Kentico folks as well. Talk about, how things have been going, some, maybe future direction of the product, different strategy. And it's a good opportunity to connect with, pretty much the entire ecosystem, go over some really cool things that we've been working on from the previous past year. The unique thing about this year, however, was the first time we had done it in person. The last one we had done was in 2019. It's actually where I met you.
That's right.
For the first time. Out in Denver.
Yep.
And it's been
Bring it back.
Yep. Maybe someday.
My backyard, yeah.
So you don't have to travel so far. And ever since then, it's been online. So really not a ton of engagement. We had played around doing some, different partner meetups and doing some watch parties, which were definitely beneficial and a lot of fun, but nothing really beats actually getting together in a room, really kind of diving into, Kentico, the new platform, talking about, everybody's favorite topic of licensing and features and where we're going for roadmaps. And overall, it's just a really, beneficial event for everybody involved. I think we learned a lot from our sessions as a company, and hopefully that the clients and especially the partners who attended the event definitely learned a lot as well.
Yeah, and Dan emceed.
Dan did MC, did a great job. I'm very happy that I didn't have to do that. I won't tell you a story about how I was told to do MCing back in 2019, but
voluntold, right?
I was voluntold the night before. Wasn't given a script, and it was the first time I had ever used a microphone in my life. So it was pretty interesting experience, but you definitely crushed it far better than I did back in 2019. So good job.
Well,
I appreciate it.
It was a great event, and I think we were just so excited to be back in person again. Because you're right, I think the last really true in-person event in the Connections sort of history was back in Denver in 2019, sort of pre-pandemic. Can I call it that?
I believe you can.
Do I call it that?
You can call it whatever you want. Got it. Pre-COVID, the before times.
And of course you guys, kept up to the tradition, like many other organizations, and you kind of, put on digital events, lots of digital events, lots of webinars, but it didn't have quite the impact as Nashville did here just a couple months ago. And it was, I think, really timely too, because you guys are making some really cool moves on the product side, where we're transitioning from Kentico Experience 13 into the Experience by Kentico kind of product lane, product strategy. Right?
Yeah.
So it was really neat to hear not just your perspective, but also all of your partners that are now in the room again since 2019. Because I think there was a lot of really cool awareness and learnings for the Experience by Kentico product that came out of Nashville. So Dan, I'll ask you, right? Because we're just picking on you for the emceeing. What was your favorite part of the event, though?
Getting all of the partners in a room together was really special. My first Connections that I was a part of was one of those strange hybrid ones. We had some partners in a room. We viewed the sessions remotely, had some breakout sessions as a result, but there was a buzz around the whole event because I think everyone was just giddy to get back in person again.
Yeah.
It was a really good excuse for it. But you have, coming out of, the backside of the pandemic, it's a whole new set of business challenges that our partners are facing. And so it was really interesting to see what has changed since last time, and the last conversations that all of our partners were having together.
Yeah.
And then, with a new landscape, new product, well, what does that mean? Everyone's making sense of it, taking ownership of it. And it was cool watching everyone bounce these ideas, amongst each other, and honestly, just a friendly environment.
Yeah, the idea of new product, what the event really drove home for me is like it's a successful evolution of your historic product philosophy. And like I just found that really reassuring. And I think that's something really cool for our listeners to really understand, right? Is as we transition, right, and Kentico Experience 13 is not going anywhere, but Experience by Kentico is that next level up to really satisfy what we're hoping to accomplish in terms of growing maturity, adding new deployment options and SaaS flavorings and all that jazz. So Dan, you mentioned business challenges. You guys are on the front line of hearing this stuff from not just partners like us, but also clients. I'd love to hear sort of what trends are you seeing right now? What trends do you expect to see into 2024 in the form of business challenges?
Yeah, and business challenges we can group in business requirements. What are we trying to accomplish? And it's interesting seeing buzzwords come and go.
We're good at that as an industry.
Yeah, we're great at that.
We're really good
a little bit.
Back in my previous life on the agency side, it was real-time personalization. That was the buzzword. No one knew how to do it. How do you fake it till you make it, and that. And so buzzwords come and go, and it's interesting seeing headless is a perfect one where that was so big and everyone's asking for headless. Maybe they don't quite know what it is. That's okay, but they know enough to know they should ask about it. And I'm seeing that start to fade away, and I'm seeing more of this hybrid headless approach to things really start to shine. As I don't want to call headless a buzzword to the nth degree.
You already did.
It's already too late. It's already too late. But it's starting to kind of fizzle. And it's really interesting seeing that now ahead of ahead of 2024.
And just to kind of add to that too, is that Kentico views headless rather than a core requirement, but more of like, this is how we're going to structure our entire digital presence, is instead, headless is more of a feature.
Right.
And, I have my own, I think I've shared anecdotally in the past, my own kind of interpretation of headless, and we can cover that another day. But definitely, that coming into focus, that, you have that flexibility out of the platform that people are looking for now. We don't want to be just kind of boxed into specifically working with the product in the set way that we are supposed to, or we need to, purchase all these different packages and like kind of cobble the whole thing together ourselves, even though, some of these other vendors, do have things like that.
Yeah.
So it requires a lot more customization. And, I think kind of to jump off from that too, is just, a lot of our customers and prospects are looking for more ways to deploy their content.
Sure.
So not just web being the only channel that customers are looking to deploy to. They're trying to reuse their content in multiple locations. They want to reuse it on, not just the homepage, but reuse it in their marketing assets, so through their email channels or through social channels, or again, we can go into some sort of headless channels such as digital billboards, or it could be really anything, a native mobile app even. So and the platform that Kentico has been working really hard on building over the past year and a half, 2 years. Definitely is allowing customers to be able to deliver on those types of, requirements. Yeah.
The idea that headless is just a feature, I think, is just a really refreshing take on what it actually is. Right. And
right.
For our technical listeners, that's data accessible through API. Right. But for marketers, pure headless is not often a good solution.
Correct.
And it's not often a good solution because that front end application, if it's web first, right, which they all aren't, that connection has to be built, has to be established, it has to be maintained. And marketers don't always have the control that they want or need in order to be able to power an experience.
Exactly.
So to hear that headless is just a feature in this web first channel, I think it's really exciting. It's really refreshing in an industry full of buzzwords.
Of course.
Yeah. It's less of just kind of, let's cram this down everyone's throat and just say, trust me, this is the right way. It's really based on feedback. It's iterations on previous versions of this product, seeing what else is in the space.
Yeah.
Taking the good, or as much as we can, removing the bad as much as we can, to develop something that's actually useful.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of great sessions in Nashville about this very topic, right? Not just headless, but the philosophy behind content management, the idea that it's reusable across channels. This idea, I might be using content inside of a website, but I'm also using that very same content that I'm managing in one place in my app or in my microsite or to power an initiative or my email channel. And it's potentially understated how much efficiency marketers gain by utilizing strategies like that. So it's cool to see in Nashville at the Connections event a lot of content oriented towards how do we build right?
Right.
How do we set the stage for a marketer to manage their content effectively and work through it?
Well, that's only half of the equation, though. The other half is how do we have our partners deliver those experiences?
Sure. Yeah, there was a lot of great content too about how do we Americaneagle.com as a partner inside of the ecosystem, not only respect the product, but also respect our client goals, right? How do we form this triangle of value effectively? Yeah. So, let's maybe talk a little bit more about that. I mean, I think you guys are pretty unique in that, right? You're very partner first in the way that you go to market with the product, the way that you expect value to be delivered to clients. Could you maybe say a few words about that?
I mean, number one, just look at both Dan and myself's title: Channel Growth Manager, or Channel Growth Director, or Director of Channel Growth. It's all about the channel. We wouldn't be where we are without our partners. We wouldn't be where we are. Our customers wouldn't be as successful as they are without, our great partners that are working to build out their websites and build out their hopes and their dreams and really execute using our technology. So we're very much focused. I would say the majority of my job is interacting with partners, making sure everybody is happy, has the resources that they need, are hooked up with great channel growth managers to perform demos for them, to provide them quotes, to answer questions, help with the occasional RFP when it comes around. But our entire focus on my team is entirely around the channel, and we try to structure our partner program around that. Again, with that heavy emphasis on the channel, because we would not be successful if we didn't have great partners like Americaneagle.com. I've been working with you for 4 years.
That was just like we practiced it, by the way, right? That was perfect.
Yep, it's pretty good. No big deal. That's why they pay me the big bucks. I've been working with you for 4 years now. I feel like we have a pretty good relationship. We text message each other on Teams every once in a while. And that's the type of relationship that I try to build with many of the partners, if not all the partners in our partner ecosystem, is be successful together. Because we're a piece of the implementation. We're not the entire implementation. We know that, and we want to make sure that we're all successful. When a client launches a site, we celebrate it on LinkedIn, or we collaborate on case studies or success stories. And I don't know how many reoccurring meetings I have with partners right now, or maybe that I have personally, but Dan and the other members of my team have. Most of their weeks are filled up with those regular reoccurring meetings to talk through site launches and implementations and opportunities, obviously. But we're very much focused on working with our partners to be successful together.
Yeah, we've always valued your transparency.
Definitely.
Right inside of the channel, as for us, when we're talking to clients about roadmap, it's so nice that I can just go click, hyperlink, send it off, and say, guys, this is what we know they're going to. They've been delivering it for the last 20 years.
Exactly.
There's, they're going to deliver here. Same with your pricing. It makes it so easy as a partner inside the ecosystem to just say, send a link. This is the pricing. This is what we are going to deliver for you inside of the product. And that the theme of transparency that you're mentioning is just so powerful for us inside of the community of partners that deliver on the Kentico product.
Absolutely.
And I feel sometimes it might be oversharing, but there's merit to that.
Yeah.
Where it's very, oftentimes it's not open mouth, insert foot. It can happen, but it's all with transparency, integrity, the best intentions, but it's to try and make sure that our partners are enabled and they're empowered to do what they need to do. And we're not a roadblock for them.
Yeah. Cool.
Right.
So, we've just got a few minutes left here. I'd love to hear from you guys. Like, what are you expecting from 2024? What predictions do you have for maybe new business challenges you're going to see in the coming year?
Yeah. I mean, heading into the next year, we're going to, I hate to use the sales term, but we're going to crush it. We have a very large pipeline right now, mostly built with our partners like Americaneagle.com and obviously a few others, but we really are, poised to take a major chunk out of the I guess the opportunity on the market right now. Hybrid headless is, definitely something that's going to be a major focus of ours, but also again, delivering content across multiple different channels. Our marketing team is working on a ton of very, industry specific and industry focused content. But more importantly, the product is just maturing every single month. We have had monthly releases every month since July 2022 or something like that.
Yeah.
And every single month, by the time Dan and I get up to speed on the demo, we now have a new demo that we have to learn. It's that much functionality that they're putting into the product on a monthly basis. Customers who have already launched are doing their upgrades very quickly and easily. We're not talking about the old school major releases, the 8 to 9s, the 9 to 10s anymore. These are bite-sized updates that are very easy to do, and they're adding functionality. They're not breaking changes.
Yeah.
And so even though the customers are already live, they're seeing a lot of benefits, and the customers that are coming on board with Kentico in the course of the next 6 months or so are really going to see a massive increase in the amount of functionality that's available within the platform, even more so than we've seen in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
And then, as kind of the rest of the year kind of goes on, we got some great stuff on the roadmap. As you said, it is publicly available, so feel free to check it out. And, we're, again, really looking to take a big chunk out of the market because there's a lot of opportunity out there.
Yeah.
And a lot of organizations are really finding that they can be successful with our tools. Really, again, our core pillars of ease of use, faster time to market, which means, greater return on investment, things of that nature. So
simplicity beats complexity.
Exactly. It's going to be a great year over the course of the next, 12 months or so. And even beyond that, I'm going to be honest, it's looking really, really nice over the next few months and years.
Great. Dan, 2024, what do you think?
Growth.
Crush it.
Think of,
Crush it.
The whole Kentico pie as a whole is going to grow.
Okay.
And it's not in that selfish sense of, we're concerned about Kentico and that's all that matters. It's growth that's so intimately tied with our partners. To where partners of ours like Americaneagle.com will grow as a result of what we've introduced to the market and what we're able to support and continue to iterate on. And so, having just a damn good product that really helps. And so it's there, it's ready, it's being built on right now. Sites are being launched on it. And so it's, we've already tipped the first domino. So there's a lot more to come.
That's great. Well, guys, I want to thank you for joining me here for this episode. Really appreciate you just taking the time out of a busy visit here to record here on Digital Dexterity. And to all our listeners, thanks so much, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.